Hi, today I'm doing a beef brisket point cut. I noticed, I just realized this was considered USD choice or higher, and it's about 4.5 pounds. So one of the first things I do is try to remove the bag, and one of the tricks to taking these bags off is to cut from the top instead of the sides, and what that does is it'll allow the juices. I just made a little snip, and the juices will run to the bottom of the bag and makes it easier to remove this from the bag without making a mess. So as you can see, this is a vacuum packed bag, so the juices have collected on the bottom. Now I know some people say you shouldn't rinse your meat when you take out of the bag, but I generally like to rinse it and give it a once over and then pat it dry. Okay, I trimmed out some of the fat off the middle portions and try to clean up any of the loose hanging bits. Alright, now that I've kind of trimmed off the loose bits and extra fat, the trimming is optional, and for the most part this looked like the fat layer is not that thick. I mean, it's decent. So the idea is the fat will keep the meat moist. So next thing I'll do is just use that's about 2 tablespoons of salt. I don't know if I'll use it all, but the idea is to just, since it's a big piece of meat, just season. And ideally you'd want to let it sit in the fridge overnight, but I kind of started late because of the holidays, and so I'm pretty simple: salt and pepper. Then we'll add whatever else flavors we need during the cooking process. So far I'm estimating probably used only a tablespoon of the salt. Salted all sides, and next I'll hit it up with pepper. Okay, the next seasoning is pepper. Again, I'm going to be generous and try to coat generously, or put a decent amount. I'm going to let this sit in the fridge for a few hours before I cook it. Okay, Ziploc bagged, and into the fridge it goes for a few hours, or overnight if you like. I prefer overnight, but I'm kind of cooking it today. Alright, I've had this brisket with salt and pepper in the fridge for an hour. Now I'm going to roast in the oven at 350 for 1 hour uncovered, and then I'll add some liquid and cover with aluminum foil and turn down the temperature and roast it or cook it for another 3 hours. So I added about a cup of water, 1 bouillon, and I'll put a little Worcestershire sauce, probably a couple shakes, about a teaspoon. Let this come to a boil and then pour it over the brisket. Alright, here's the brisket. It's been in the oven for an hour at 350. I'm going to add the juices and the liquid. So we'll have some juices and liquid. Enough liquid to steam, so roughly 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch. Next step is to cover with foil and continue baking oven for about 3.5 hours, covered with foil. As you're wrapping with foil, use a hot pad since the pan is hot, or the baking dish is hot, into a 300-degree oven for about 3 to 3.5 hours. Alright, the brisket's been in the oven for 3 hours at 300. I'm going to take it out. Definitely a lot of juices. The brisket is shrunk. Typically you shoot for about 190 to 200 degrees. Well, I'll tell you one thing, as I'm putting this thermometer in there, it's going in really easy like a butter. So it's definitely tender and soft. So right now it's 200 degrees. Okay, I'm gonna pour the juices off into a separate bowl. There's definitely a layer of fat. Okay, the meat is cooled off. When it comes to slicing the brisket, this is the top layer, so you could actually scrape off the fat. So you could get rid of, when it's cooked, it's easier just to scrape it off. And now what you do is just slice. The grain is run this way, so you want to cut against the grain, so you're shortening the beef fibers.